Hello, I'm Primorix, and I'm showcasing today a pre-recorded run of Ori and the Blind Forest, all skills, no out of bounds, no teleport anywhere. This is by far the most popular category in the Ori and the Blind Forest community, and this run I actually did for a tournament race back in the spring. So you will see some kind of safety strats, some alternate strats for different areas, but I think it's still an excellent showcase of what this game has to offer. So let's get into it. First thing I'm going to do once I start the run is skip the prologue after 3 seconds, and this will get me right into the actual run. So since this is a 2D Metroidvania, our movement options are pretty limited at the start, just kind of running and jumping. You're seeing me jump here as much as I can, pretty much, to save a bit of time. Moving in the air is a little bit faster than moving on the ground. So, doing that, and we're just making our way down to pick up Sign, which is going to be the main form of attacking for the start of the run. Just a little orb buddy that will shoot some projectiles at nearby enemies, and going to be using scroll wheel as an alternative to mashing shots, just to make things easier and faster. And you'll see that put to use right away as we get into the Frankie fight at the start, kind of a tutorial on how to use Sign to shoot at enemies. All these Frankies take 5 hits to die, so gonna basically get the shots out in a particular rhythm to get through them as efficiently as possible, and move on into kind of the game proper. So at this point, we're heading into the Sunken Glades area to pick up the first movement skill of the run, which is going to be wall jump. More on that once we kind of get to it, but pretty straightforward. For now, it's just a lot of like little optimizations in movement, and basically trying to keep track of your resources. So you have health, you have energy, and you have experience. Uh, Health we want to keep at a certain level, basically either to allow us to damage boost in some places, or to enable tricks such as the ghost door here, where I'm going to place these keystones into a door, save, and take a death as quickly as possible to skip the door opening animation. And I am, for safety, going to pick up this fourth health cell up top over here, just to make the late game areas a bit safer in particular. And yeah, so energy in the kind of early and middle game is really only going to be used for saving, and later on it becomes more relevant for movement, actually. And experience, of course, is how you level up. We want a few timed level ups at certain points in the run, so basically keeping track of uh, how much you pick up and getting a consistent amount every run is pretty important. So now, after all that, we're coming down to the wall jump tree. Most of the ways you acquire skills in this game to kind of increase your movement and attacking arsenal is by absorbing light from these trees scattered throughout the forest. So, gonna be picking up wall jump here, which is going to allow me to jump up walls. Of note, there's no stamina or anything. You can just climb walls as much as you are able to, like as much as you want, basically. And there's no kind of natural jump away from the wall. You can hold in the direction of the wall and climb pretty much right up it. So, yeah. So after that, gonna do something that's a little unusual for basically kind of a casual playthrough, which is taking wall jump and going straight into Blackroot Burrows, which is an optional area, uh, optional for completing the game, not for this run, but optional area that gives us access to the ability Dash, which is going to greatly increase our movement speed, so we just want to get it as quickly as possible before heading out to other areas. So it is pretty conveniently located right around the starting point of the game as well, so we want to pick it up while we're still kind of in this central location. And here you're going to see a trick called a save anywhere, basically storing the ability tree, which is this menu here, and leveling up an ability after starting a cutscene and reloading. Basically what this does is it saves the game inside the cutscene, and this gets the game to treat you as though you've completed the cutscene and not play it again, even though you've only done like a small part of it. So Blackroot Burrows here is very cycle based, as I already mess up a jump, so probably not getting the most optimal cycle here. But basically, there are laser cycles, platform cycles, orb cycles in a sense, all kinds of cycles you have to navigate in order to get through the area efficiently. And also going to be picking up this 100 experience to get a level up. That's going to come in handy for another save anywhere at the end of this area. So just kind of carrying this orb, you walk much slower with it, but it's required for most of the area, so just got to deal with it. And yeah, so going to be starting another save anywhere once I come up back to the top here, and this is basically going to allow me to skip the darkness lifting cutscene and manipulate it in such a way that I'll eventually be able to stack 2 cutscenes right by the skill tree that I'm going to be picking up, the dash tree. And yeah, so it's a little hard to see at this point, but there's also not a lot going on. It's just kind of standard, waiting on platform cycles, manipulating platform cycles so that they're more favorable, and just getting through as quickly as I can. So not really a whole lot going on, but going back to the idea of this cutscene stack, what that does is it's going to allow me to basically activate the skill tree and then be able to move pretty quickly after. And I can actually just dash away from the tree and do a little bit of off-camera movement in order to, uh, get towards the exit of this area a little faster. So you'll see that here, using some audio cues, the audio is muted here because there's other commentary going on, but basically just timing out my movement in a very specific pattern and getting out of Blackroot Burrows as quickly as possible. Coming up, now I have manipulated my experience in such a way that I can do this trick called Frankie Walk to get to the next area faster. So basically, there's a door that requires 4 energy to open, and we only have a max of 2 energy. So by luring this Frankie all the way across the map to the location of the door, I can basically put in 2 energy twice by putting it in, leveling up off his experience, and then putting in 2 more. So you see that right here, 2 more, and that opens the door. So that's Frankie Walk. That's a very big sequence break that allows you to get into Moon Grotto much earlier and actually get to the double jump tree as our next skill tree. So a little bit more movement here. There's going to be a pretty tricky cycle coming up that's pretty precise, but you can get into the crushers off to the right if you move in just the right way. I don't remember if I get it or not. I kind of am inclined to think I didn't. Oh, yeah, okay. So that's what it looks like, the crusher cycle. Just basically a pretty specific movement pattern to make that work out. And yeah, so another ghost store here. This one's a little faster paced, but it's the same concept as the one previously. And going to be heading down to double jump now. So this is going to give me 1 extra jump in the air. which is going to be very helpful for movement, not only for kind of crossing longer gaps or getting more height, but actually climbing up walls with double jump is much faster as well. So you can kind of have this wall jump, double jump cadence that gets you up the walls a bit more efficiently than just wall jumping, doing individual wall jumps every time. So this part coming up, going basically up Grotto from the double jump tree into the Ginso tree, which is the first dungeon of the game, is one of the most technical of the run. It's definitely considered one of, if not the, one of the hardest splits, if not the hardest split in the run by a lot of runners. So just a lot of kind of tricky wall jump movement. The walls can be a little difficult to navigate because all these little like crevices and bumps in them actually are real in the game physics. And also there's just a lot of menuing, a lot of cutscenes you have to skip. So a lot of room for things to go wrong. But we are going to come and pick up the water vein. This is the key to the first dungeon, the Ginso tree. So in kind of a normal sequence of events, you would go up to the Ginso tree and see that you need the water vein, and actually Gumo, this creature here, steals it from the entrance, and you have to kind of chase him down and get it back. But we're doing things pretty much backwards, and that's just much more efficient than following kind of the intended story sequence here. So we got another pretty interesting cycle coming up here. Gonna be trying to basically navigate some spike arms, pausing there for a bit just to help set up this position right. And I do get it, at least the first part of it. Yeah, that's really clean. Getting this block out, getting this kind of rock, and just navigating all of those spike arms is pretty difficult. But once you kind of know the couple patterns you can see, it's much easier to deal with. And then here, going to be saving at the door as I open the door and doing a trick known as game storage right here. So this is basically just giving an extra input very quickly after you exit to the main menu or the title screen, and this messes up basically some things in certain locations, messes with kind of the game unloading what you've done previously, and is going to, in this case, allow me to get control in the Ginso tree faster than you could otherwise. So this is also kind of a cycle-based dungeon in some senses. It's not quite as bad as like Blackroot Burrows in that sense, as I take a death here just to manipulate that cycle. So you want to basically get that shot to line up like really perfectly if you can to hit the wall very quickly. And at this point, it's just kind of regular platforming from here on out. Gonna be fighting the mini boss here. So you can go down in as few as 3 cycles of popping out from these various locations, but typical is going to be 4. I do get the 3 cycle here though, which is really good. That takes a pretty good amount of time to learn, and it's definitely not easy to do even once you've learned it. So picking up a few more keystones here, gonna be making our way to the Bash tree, Bash being one of kind of the iconic skills of both Ori games, actually, Blind Forest and Will of the Wisps. Basically allows you to grab an enemy and kind of fling yourself off of it in a direction, and typically fling the enemy in the other direction. So there is one way to kind of circumvent this kind of natural way that Bash works, and that's using a glitch known as double bashing. So basically, it's a glitch that's going to allow me to aim the projectile or enemy in one direction and then aim Ori in a separate independent direction with a separate bash. So hopefully you'll see that right here. Yeah, so I actually missed the shot, which is a little unfortunate, but basically fling that shot back at the worm and then fling myself up to save a bit of time. And here doing the key dupe, so gonna basically put the keys in the door and take a death that's going to put me far enough away that the game basically will put the keys back in my inventory and also respawn them in the world. So now I have 7 keystones instead of the 4 that are available. And those 3 extra keystones are going to allow me to save time uh, both in getting to the stomp tree faster, which is kind of my immediate goal, and save a bit of time in Sorrow Pass much later. So we're actually not going to complete the Ginso Tree dungeon, not going to clean the water. So all the water in the game, by default, does 1 damage per second to Ori, and that is not going to change. So that's one kind of constraint that you have to route around, is the final escape has a swim component to it, and you have to have enough health to survive that. So coming up on this laser cutscene, just going to watch it. It's a little faster to skip it, but not much. And just going to make our way to the next kind of big trick known as swamp entry. So gonna take this frog, bash him pretty far off to the right, and use its shots to break this floor and the ceiling. Alright, missed the double bash there, a little unfortunate. But yeah, break the ceiling there. And now this is going to put me in the area where I would normally spawn after finishing the Ginso escape. So, very, important trick for being able to bypass that pretty long escape sequence and kind of associated cutscenes and stuff, and just get in and get to the stomp tree much faster. So stomp is going to allow me to basically, stomp down at pretty high speed. That's not really the main use. There are some places where it's more efficient to like stomp down than just fall down, but a lot of times the overhead from the stomp windup is going to kind of negate that. Uh, One thing the stomp is really useful for is what's known as a stomp cancel, which is going to basically combine with an ability called charge dash later on in order to save some time. But back to the present, we're taking this frog for another ride and using him to get this ability cell. And as I make my way back over towards the spider sack area, towards the charge flame tree, which I was supposed to get much earlier than this in kind of a typical playthrough, um, do a trick called Kuro cutscene skip there, basically bashing past a cutscene trigger using that frog and manipulating its shot in a very specific way. And going to pick up a little more energy. Again, that energy is going to come in very handy much later on in the run. Little damage boost here, and another cutscene skip. Gonna just get me over to the charge flame tree as quickly as possible. And yeah, so Charge Flame is kind of an upgraded attack. It does cost half an energy to use, but basically you charge it up, and then when you release your attack button, it does a little explosion around you that does damage. It's not going to be used too much overall in the run, so not the most important thing, but since it's all skills, we do have to go get it. And actually getting Charge Flame actually gates some of the better ability tree upgrades that I am going to want to pick up. So, pretty important in that sense, I guess. Alright, so now we're coming up to Valley of the Wind. This is kind of the bridge, I would say, between the middle and the late game. The spikes are going to start doing more damage. Spikes, do different amounts of damage in different areas. Basically, here they do 3, which is which makes having 4 health very nice. Makes it a little more comfortable, and yeah, still very dangerous. Gonna be kind of building up to a trick here known as Fast Stompless. So once I get this ability cell, I will Go up almost to the rocks where Kuro is perched currently, and basically I'm going to fire a spider shot at a very precise angle at the rocks, move over here to unload some terrain, and actually pick up an ability cell. And if I do it all right, I'll just get this ability cell right before the rocks break and warp me to the feather location. So that ability cell is going to be important for leveling up Charge Dash, uh, which is basically just like Dash, but it's faster and it locks onto enemies and it does damage. It does cost an energy though, and that's where Stomp comes in, as well as Bash. So basically, if you Stomp or Bash to cancel the Charge Dash before it completes, uh, it refunds the energy cost. So you can take advantage of this to basically Charge Dash all over the map at this point and not have to worry a ton about your energy. Basically, just doing a few uncanceled charge dashes or rocket jumps, which are just a charge dash canceled by a jump, like that, uh, to use up your energy as needed to get through the different late game areas quicker. Coming up here, there's a trick called Crazy Juggle or Sea Juggle. So basically, this is a sequence of precise, like 2-frame taps of specially set up bind that will allow me to juggle this frog very quickly up to the top of Sorrow Pass without damaging it too much and killing it. Gonna pick up this plant for some experience and set up a save anywhere to skip a very long cutscene as we're getting the Sunstone here. And yeah, so after getting the Sunstone, I'm gonna head back down, pick up the Charge Jump tree. Charge Jump is basically just, as it kind of sounds, a jump that you charge up, and it, goes much higher. It's a very good source of damage as well. So really just kind of rounding out our skill set. We've got some fast, down movement. We've got horizontal movement as I mess up that laser cycle and die, unfortunately. And now we've got some good vertical options as well, moving upwards. So playing it a little safe there, but that's fine. Just trying to go for consistency. And gonna, yeah, pick up this charge jump tree and head into one of the last areas that we need to hit, which is Misty Woods. This is, I would say, a fan favorite among runners of this game. Basically, there's just a lot of room for optimization with charge dash management and stomp cancels and stuff, and it ends up being just really fun and kind of addicting to just practice over and over. So a lot of people do end up doing that at one point or another to, really get this movement down. So, gonna head into Misty Woods. You're seeing I'm kind of charge dashing towards every enemy and bashing off of them in order to refund that energy. And I'm actually showing the UI here because there's no like dialogue that I have to skip. So, just gonna make our way through and spend like very little energy. Basically stretch this 2 energy like as far as we can to get to the climb tree. So yeah, really the only reason we're coming to Misty Woods is for the climb tree. The main reason you would come here kind of in a typical playthrough, which I kind of glossed over before, but it has the key to the second dungeon, the Forlorn Ruins. We've basically already skipped that by getting into Sorrow Pass without restoring the wind. So there's no need to go there. No need for the key. We're actually not going to get the key at all. Really just need the skill tree, and we're going to be on our way. So yeah, coming up here, we've got kind of the infamous second half of Misty. So it's just a lot of, stomp cancels, a lot of really fast movement through this area. Just really cool to watch when it's done very well. Uh, you can tell if a runner's practiced it a lot. Here I probably have some race nerves and such going on, so it's not perfect, but I think still a very good watch. And yeah, gonna be managing energy, getting a couple more energy from that crystal to enable me to do some more rocket jumps, since those do always cost an energy. And they're very powerful, but you have to be careful in that sense. Coming up to a mini boss here, not quite the perfect kill, but a very fast kill, a one cycle kill, which is still very good. And yeah, so gonna be heading out, and there's just one place we have to go before we're able to actually finish the run, and that is back into Blackroot Burrows to pick up another skill tree, the Light Grenade tree. So this is going to be the final skill of the run, and on its own, it's just like a projectile you can throw. It costs energy, does a decent amount of damage, and lets you interact with some lanterns in the world. But the cool thing that it does for us, the speedrunners, is enables a trick known as grenade jumping. So, uh, grenade jumping is basically charge jumping off a, or rather throwing a grenade while climbing on a wall and doing a charge jump one frame later. And it just kind of cancels for a while the deceleration from the charge jump and allows you to go very fast for a pretty extended period of time, which obviously we like. So yeah, picking up the grenade tree, and now that's all the skills collected. Just have to make our way to Mount Horu and finish the run. We're actually not going to do really any of Mount Horu, but more on that in a moment. As I try to navigate this laser cycle here on the way out. Yeah, so basically the movement all the way through this area has to be somewhat precise in order to keep that laser cycle in the right place when you come back and just get through without having to worry about it. So, gonna teleport back to Swamp and get over to Mount Horu as quickly as possible. Again, energy management does come into play here, and it actually is interesting. Normally, in a lot of movement segments, you want to end on 0 energy. Here, we're gonna want to end on like 1 or 2 if possible. Because that's going to enable a trick known as warmth skip, where we use that game storage trick that I did way back to just skip the warmth returned cutscene. And that's going to save like 10-ish seconds as I try to line up a grenade jump here. Uh, so that's what a grenade jump looks like. It's very fast. Very fast, very cool. We love it for the speed run. And yeah, so anyway, basically it's going to save some time, but we have to do some off-camera movement as part of the trick. And also, we don't get any health or energy back. So it's very important that I'm at full health and at least enough energy to do some charge dashes in order to actually go for this trick. And since I've met all those requirements, I'm going to go for it. Do the menu trick and get on my way. So right here is the most important off-camera movement section. Pretty difficult, but get through it. And yeah, now it's just getting through the rest of the final escape. The main things to look out for are the swim. Have to basically navigate it as precisely as you can on keyboard and mouse. It's a little difficult, but basically not take too much damage from the water, and then jump over the trigger here to spawn Kuro, giving me as much time as I need to set up the final grenade jump right here, and I get it first try. So that's basically the end of the run. Do have to hold right for a little while just to get to the actual end of the game, but that is basically all the meaningful input. And as you can tell by how fast I've been talking this whole time, there's a lot going on. It's a very hectic run, but also very precise and technical. Uh, Definitely the most, I would say, technically demanding speedrun I've ever done. And yeah, it's just a great show. It's a great run. And I hope you enjoyed it. Hope you learned a little bit. Uh, and yeah, hope to see you around. Thanks for watching.